Hello and welcome into the latest edition of the Fore-All Podcast. I'm Jesse Morrison alongside Max Bechtold. And Max, wow, did we have quite the major championship. Definitely the best one of the year. After, honestly, they've been a little bit disappointing to this point, I would say. But this one was incredible. Just let's first start there. Just talk about how incredible this tournament was.
Yeah, I wrote in my recap. I don't think it was hard to write my recap because it's hard to put into words what happens. Like it's almost the kind of thing where I almost want my recap to be go watch the full round replay somewhere because that's the only way to really sum up what happened. Grace Kim obviously just coming out of nowhere on the last few holes. I think I saw on Twitter that she had a 0.3% chance to win when she was stepping on the 15th tee. And then to finish 7 under on her last 6 holes, including the playoff holes, and to go through all that she went through. I mean, she hit a ball in the water and made birdie. Like it was just incredible to see. I titled my article about how she pulled off miracles to win, and it was a lot of them. Like there's like 3 or 4 truly miraculous shots that kind of led to this happening, this result. And I would dare to say it's the major of the year, regardless of tour, and that includes this year's Masters. Obviously, the historical ramifications aren't the same, but this was just as thrilling.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, something that I feel like we don't see in golf that much is like the player that's a few shots behind with a few holes left that ends up winning unless there's a collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't this time. There were like two players playing at the time that she was finishing up her round, and or two players toward the top of the leaderboard that were playing. And sometimes I've complained in the past. I'm like, why are you showing this person that's 4 shots back TV coverage? And this is why you do that in case something miraculous happens like this. And to make the Eagle to go to the playoff, I think that's the most impressive part of the entire thing, in my opinion, because there's just so much pressure on you you've got to make an Eagle to go to the playoff, and she did it. And like, I think I would fold personally under that pressure. But yeah, second win for her on the LPGA tour, first major. Um, yeah,
And, and this is a player that probably should have more wins than she does. When you really look at her resume, I mean, she's come out of the weekend or the Thursday, Friday, first 2 rounds with some big leads before. I mean, you look at the JM Eagle LA Championship last year, she jumped out to a big lead, had a great start. The Meyer LPGA Classic jumped out to a lead, had a great start, went to a playoff with Lilia Vu and Lexi Thompson. She's had trouble finishing. I think we're maybe finding the secret is she maybe doesn't play the best with the lead, but if she has some confidence and she starts charging, she can finish really spectacularly. This is a player with a ton of talent.
yeah, and I mean, one thing I also wanted to touch on is we talk about the Evian being the fifth best major typically. Um, it delivered like the best major. Obviously, there's one more to go, but it definitely delivered like it was the best major out there this year. And I mean, the course was what'd you make of the course, I guess?
I think the last 2 years have really codified this as a great venue and a great major championship host because of the dramatic finish in particular. Having a hole that's not just possible to make eagles, but the last 2 years, players have made eagles to win on it. Having that as the last hole. A few weeks ago, the PGA Tour played a course where par five was the final hole, and they're in a playoff. And I think it went like 3 or 4 playoff holes. And every single time, it was just drive down the middle, layup, wedge shot in, and they both made their putts or they parred. Like it was so boring. And to get like a really truly exciting hole like this, that could lead to this kind of drama. And that does have like penalties. Like you could hit in the water like Grace Kim did on that playoff hole. And then she just made an miraculous, incredible shot. I mean, I keep on saying miracles and miraculous, but it's really the only way to describe what happens. And that chip in just shows like there was so many different ways to win this, and there's so many different ways to post a score on 18. And I think that finish where 16 is a really dramatic par three, 17, one of the hardest holes on the course, which it kind of gets lost in the round. But Grace Kim made an incredible par on that hole. With all the flashy stuff going around, I think people forget about that. I mean, you get two par fives down the stretch. Like there's a lot of excitement, especially in this back nine. And so I love kind of what it's bringing as a venue the last couple of years. And dramatic finishes aren't anything new here, but these last two have really been doozies.
And looked like a good crowd out there for sure. I think we've seen that at all of the majors this year, which has been awesome to see. I mean, they really are starting to have.
Chevron was a little bit of a weak point, but other than that, it seems the attendance has been fantastic at these majors, and obviously that is an advantage of this major. Is across all the tours, it's the only major held outside of the United States or Great Britain.
All right, let's talk about if it is the best major you have ever watched. I don't know. I don't know if it beats out Tiger and Rocco 2008 back when they did the full round playoff, Tiger on the bad knee. Like that was pretty crazy. I think that's going to go ahead of this one for me. But I mean, it's up there. I mean, again, like I said, you don't see it that this much where it's not just like somebody collapsing where somebody from behind wins. It's usually like yeah, I mean, we just don't see it a lot where a player just surges like that in the last like few holes.
Yeah, I think we're possibly dating ourselves a little bit. I mean, obviously, I've Tiger versus Rocco is really the first major I truly remember watching. I'd watched some before, but yeah, I think Adam Scott's win at the Masters is one that you put up there. Bubba's win, where he hit the hook shot, is obviously one. The Jordan Spieth Masters was very dramatic. Phil Mickelson's wins at US or at the British Open and at the PGA Championship most recently were really thrilling. Obviously, at the women's side, this year the Chevron was pretty thrilling. There's been some other great tournaments as well. Rory's
I would
win.
argue the Chevron was a bad tournament.
It was thrilling and dramatic, but we've had this discussion before.
Hey, whoever
Uh,
was it was who wanted to play the least bad
that is true.
out of everyone playing bad.
2 years ago at the Chevron as well, when Lilia Vu won, was great. Obviously, Tiger's most recent Masters win, Rory's Masters win, obviously just in the historical context, were incredible. But I don't think I've ever seen something happen like what happened in this. I frankly don't know how you could get better, a better major championship, a better finish than this, with just the unpredictability. The playoff was great. The play down the stretch was incredible. Gino didn't play bad down the stretch. She just played average, and average was not good enough, even with a lead. And I think the leaderboard was fantastic. There were so many different storylines on that leaderboard. Lottie Woad, who we're going to talk about a little bit more in a second, that was great. It looked like for a while she had a legitimate chance to win. So I think this major just delivered in every way. I can't really imagine outside of something truly thrilling that had great historical context. I don't know how you could top this.
Well, there was that major back in like the 1920s with Walter. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened in Walter Hagen's major
Or
win.
the Duel in the Sun. Like I didn't watch that. I don't know. Like that
Yeah.
was like in the early 70s.
But shout out, and this is not a paid sponsorship or payola or whatever they want to call it, but shout out the good starter clubs that Walter Hagen has. All right, let's move on real quick before we get to the Lottie Woad thing because that's very much something I want to talk about. Uh, Australia, they're doing well in women's golf.
Yeah,
Grace Kim wins the Evian. The last major, we had Minji Lee, also Australian. And then way back at the beginning of the year, one of the events on the Asian swing was won by Lydia Ko.
Which is kind of related generally. We'll fold all of the Oceania into this a little bit because they're having a great time right now.
And then last year, obviously, Lydia had an incredible season. You
Hannah
know,
Green had an incredible season last year as well.
yeah. So Australia kind of taking over uh, women's golf.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be really interesting. First of all, their celebrations. Nobody tops the Australians with celebrations. This was easily the best champagne shower of the season, maybe that I've ever seen. And they're so together, and I think that's why they're going to be so dangerous at the international crown. I just wrote an article today, kind of theorizing should they be considered the favorites, which kind of feels weird when you look at it on paper. But they're going to send out a team that has a lot of experience with Hannah Green, Minji Lee, Steph Kiriakou, and Grace Kim. They're so together. They've got great chemistry. Three of those players have experience in this event. They're winning majors right now. They've got a lot of depth in their country. You look at Gabby Ruffles, who really had a chance to win this tournament as well. She was in the
Tied for
final
ninth.
group.
Yep.
You have Hira Navid, who's playing some pretty good golf. I think she played pretty well this weekend. There's some good depth. Cassie Porter has had a little bit of an inconsistent season, but she's had some great moments. So there's a lot to really love about women's golf in Australia right now. And that's just going to grow because you're just going to start seeing the impact that, I mean, obviously all these players were inspired by Kari Webb, but now you're going to start seeing the impact that Hannah Green and Minji Lee have had and the players they've inspired. I mean, Grace Kim, there's an old Instagram post where she first met Minji Lee and was talking about how she was her hero and like one of the players that's been a big inspiration to her. And I think that's just going to grow and grow and grow.
And also, Minji Lee, she finished tied third in this one. So,
Australians had an amazing week, like truly a fantastic week.
yeah, great week for them. Great year, great couple of years for the Oceania region. Um, but actually, before we get to Lottie Woad, we should probably touch on Gino. Another major, another time she doesn't get it done.
This one was pretty tough. I don't know what's more heartbreaking, if it's one that you're in control of and you play bad, or if it's one where someone just puts together a historic performance on you. And that's just what happened this time. There's been, majors where Gino is to blame for not winning. This one just felt like Grace Kim was inevitable. And it's just so heartbreaking to see this happen at such a frequent level for a player who I just fully believe at this point is the best player in the world. Like I have no problem saying that Gino Tidikun is the best player in the world. And it's just heartbreaking to see. She played well down the stretch. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. Should she have gone for the green on her second shot, on the final hole in regulation? Potentially. But at that time, you weren't expecting Grace Kim to put the ball 2 feet from the hole for an eagle putt. So it's a tough situation. If she keeps on putting herself in it like this, you have to believe the time is coming soon. I'm not sure it's going to happen this year now. We're running out of options, and she's been close, and certainly the last two where she probably should have won both of them. The way she played the first 2 days at the PGA Championship, that should not have been a tournament that she let get away like that. And so it'll be an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see how she responds. I do want to just point out like the sportsmanship, the class. She just went through such a heartbreaking moment, gave Grace Kim the applause she deserved at the end. It looked like the two were having a great time out there all day. I really hope for Gino Tickett. I'm not going to say that I'm rooting for her, to ruin my objectivity, but I hope one of these goes her way because she's too good of a player not to have a major at this point. And again, she's only 22, but
Yeah, I was about to say she's only
but
22, and on the bright side, this was her best ever finish in a major. Second,
yeah,
she's finished tied for fourth twice, tied for sixth at the U.S. Women's Open last year, and then the last major this year, the Women's British Open, is the worst best finish she's had, which is tied for seventh. But
Which makes sense. You see these players who maybe aren't as used to playing links courses, especially players from Asian countries. I think it usually takes them a couple years to kind of get used to that. But I will be interested to see how she plays here at the British in a couple
yeah,
weeks.
my point that I was going to make is tied seventh is
Yeah,
not bad, and
still great. Yeah.
all of these majors she's played really well in, and
Mhm.
so I don't necessarily think time is running out for her this year. I totally think she'll be in contention when the British Open tees off. Yeah, I mean, like I could totally see her winning that one. She'll get one. I mean, she'll get one. She's
Yeah,
a
she'll get majors. Like it's just the European tour announcer kind of said like, "Oh, is it becoming a question of if not when?" And it's like she is still just 22. It reminds me of that Full Swing episode about Tom Kim from season 1 where they tried to make it dramatic and they tried to make this huge storyline like, "Oh, is he, all the great players win a major young?" And it's like he's 21 years old. Like give me a break. And it can feel like that sometimes with Gino Tidikun also, where it's like we're waiting for that major moment, but it's like she's still 22 years old.
yeah. She was born in 2003, which
Yeah, that makes you
makes
feel old,
me
doesn't it?
makes me feel old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I fully expect her to win not just one, but not one, not two, not three.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
expect her to win at least three majors in her career.
I
That's
would put the over under for most players on tour at 3.5. Most of the elite players on tour at three and
yeah,
a half.
yeah. I think that's a good number to put. All right, Lottie Woad almost won. At the time, was an amateur.
Yep.
Uh, she's insane. She might be the future of women's golf, especially you look at the winner, Grace Kim, 67 in the final round, Gino Tidikun, 67 in the final round. Lottie Woad went out there and shot a 64 in the final round as an amateur.
And
That's
she
crazy.
and she wasted some opportunities too. There were chances for her to go even lower, like realistic chances. And she just put herself in an unbelievable position. I am just so impressed. Like it's not even like some of these other young players where like their game impresses me. Her attitude and her way she carries herself impresses me so much. The moment is not too big for her at all. I will put it out there right now. I guarantee she will win an LPGA Tour event this year. I guarantee it. As long as she plays a full schedule, which we don't know what her schedule will look like, obviously, but as long as she plays 7, 8, 9 tournaments, I think she's winning an event this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go even further than that. I think by the end of 2026, she will have a major.
I could definitely absolutely see that. I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't pull a Rose Zhang, wins her first event as a professional, which is on a course that she should have an advantage on. We know that she plays great on links courses. Why can't she go out and win the Scottish Open, in a couple weeks? And then you have to possibly put her up toward the top of betting odds for the AIG Women's Open if she goes into it, in the form that she's playing. It could get really, I said last week on the podcast, oh, things could move really quickly for Lottie Woad here, where she could start getting membership and if she has a good week, and she had an amazing week, she's in the best form of anyone in the world. Look out.
Yeah, and I think that I've really hyped up Rio Takeda as the future of women's golf. I know a lot of people think Rose Zhang is the future of women's golf. Obviously, Gino Tiddicoon's still really young. She could still be the
Grace
future.
Kim's only 24.
Yeah, Grace Kim, future women's golf conversation. I think I might have to just, and I think we've talked about this before, but I think I might have to put Lottie Woad at the top of that list right now, just because
She's up there.
she's an amateur and she's playing, or she was an amateur at the time, and she was playing that well, and like you just don't see that, especially like you'll see it in some of the non majors, but like that was absurd.
And here's the crazy thing. She arguably wasn't even the best player on her college team this year with Mirabelle Tang, who won the Annika Award. And Mirabelle Ting, it kind of got lost in all the Lottie Woad shuffle, made her professional debut this week at Evian. Had a little bit of an up and down week, had some really bad moments, but had some really great moments too. So look out for these two FSU players.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about it, but she did turn pro
Yes,
after this event, Lottie Woad.
as
Uh,
expected. I never thought for a second she was going to return to Florida State.
so I guess my question is just, and I mean, you said that you think she'll win probably by the end of this year. What do you think's a realistic, I guess, stretch for her?
I mean, I think right now, certainly at the Scottish, the field is good, but not elite. So I think you're looking at top 10 there. I think that's a reasonable expectation to set with the form she's in. I mean, obviously, you never know about the AIG Women's Open, but she finished top 10 last year and she's got so much more experience now. So I think you could be looking at a couple top 10s in a row. I do think she's going to win at some point this season. Again, it's tough to gauge how much she's going to play. 3 weeks ago, entering the LPGA Tour might not have even been a thought for her, and it gets buried a little bit. But she also accepted her membership to the Ladies European Tour, so she might go play over there for a little bit, stay
That
closer to
counts
home.
too. If she gets a win there, that counts too.
Yep. And so it's like I think that if she plays a semi full schedule, which I expect her to, I mean, you would think that she would want to gain as much Solheim Cup points as she want or could. You would think she wants to gain CME points to try to get to the CME Group Tour Championship. A little bit of a stretch at this point, jumping in halfway through the season, but if she has some good tournaments, that's absolutely a possibility. I would expect pretty good things from her. I would expect her to be a top 15 player on tour the rest of the season, which, considering the circumstances, would be very impressive.
Yeah, and my favorite thing I think about this for her is just, she finished third in this event and didn't make a dime.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, I'm just going to say this women are better at this than the men are, but pretty heartbreaking loss. Didn't make any money, still went up and did a great TV interview with Tom Abbott. Still
yeah,
spoke to the media afterward. I thought that just showed a little bit past her peers. I know it was still a great week for her, but it had to be disappointing not winning this week. And for her to step up, do a TV interview like that was, I thought, fantastic.
yeah. But if you look at Grace Kim won $1.2 million here, Gino won over 722,000, and then Minji Lee, who also tied for third, won 523,761. So it would have been a good payday for Lottie if she was already being a or was already a pro. So it's gonna be nice, it's gonna be nice for her when she gets that check.
It will be. And
Time.
look, I'm sure she's getting taken care of at Florida State. I'm
Yeah,
sure with the nil opportunity, she's a big name, probably one of the more
but you never
prominent
know
athletes
because
there. But
there's different rules for international
yes,
players on
there is.
with
You are
NIL.
right.
So
Yes, there is.
yeah. All right. Another player with the last name Kim
Hmm.
got a win over the weekend before we get out of here. Gina Kim got her third win of the season on the Epson Tour.
Yep. It was a pretty dominant one early, and she kind of came back a little bit to the field. But yeah, this one was in Connecticut. One of those another obnoxious tournament names. Like I get it, you have to, but this one was a real doozy. I can't even remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I've made the rule. This is my declaration that we're just gonna call it this week's Epson Tour event.
Some of the names get a little unwieldy, obviously, but this was great. 3 wins again. If she wasn't already guaranteed to be on the LPGA Tour next year, she certainly is now. It You kind of wish that I saw somebody bring up that there used to be a rule that if you won 3 Epson Tour events, you got like automatic uh, access to the LPGA Tour. I think they should probably bring that back because Gina Kim probably should be playing on the LPGA Tour right now. But this is a player who played for a couple seasons on the tour, struggled a little bit. I'm expecting her to come back in a lot stronger form next year. I think she's going to be really a player to look out for.
Well, awesome. I'm excited to see what she can do. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Fore-All Podcast. We will talk to you next week and look ahead to the Scottish Open. I forgot to ask you about stuff